Well, a preacher from Gatlinburg pleading guilty today to operating a Ponzi scheme that cost investors more than $1 million.
Yeah, we first told you about the minister Roger Williams and his investment club 2 years ago. Well, tonight, WATE 6 on your side investigator Don Dare is at the federal courthouse where he appeared today. Don.
Well, Lori and Ryan, it was a busy time here in court today. The IRS started its investigation of Roger Williams 2 years ago. He became the target of a wider criminal investigation in January of this year. Our investigation started when we found that he was not only the president, but the only board member of several investment groups. Accompanied by his attorney, Roger Williams walked into the federal courthouse today where he pleaded guilty to mail fraud, money laundering, and obstruction of federal taxes. In an 11-page agreement, Williams waived his right to plead not guilty, waived his right to a trial, and all other rights. He agreed to 51 months in federal prison. He could have gotten 20 years for the charges of fraudulently using his client's money. Their money is gone?
Their money's gone, yeah.
Some 90 investors. We first began our investigation of Williams' investment schemes in June 2014. More than 2 years ago, David and Lillian Robertson told us they plunked down $140,000 in two of Williams' investments set aside for their grandchildren's education. They bought over 90,000 shares of Dash Holdings and spent even more money on Open Door Investments, another one of Williams' Ponzi schemes, according to papers presented in court today. The couple said when they tried to get a hold of their money, Williams told them it wasn't there.
I don't know if he just lost our money or what he's done.
Lillian believes she knew where the money went.
I think he spent it. That's what I think.
She was right. Federal papers filed today say Williams spent investor funds for his personal benefit, like vacations, living expenses, even transferred his investors' hard-earned money into his own bank account.
How you feeling, Diana? What's going on?
Scott Parson, a Knoxville chiropractor, is another of Williams' investors we talked to in the summer of 2014. He told us how 14 years ago he put money into Dash Holdings and Open Door Investments. I can't send the full $500. When Williams sent this handwritten note after Dr. Parson tried to withdraw some cash, Scott suspected his money was being used to pay other investors, that the funds never existed.
Is it real? Is the money gone? Is it there?
In 2014, when we examined financial records given to us by the Robertsons and Scott Parson, it's no wonder they were suckered into Williams' fraudulent ventures. 2009, it's been a crazy year, 15% growth. Just like our initial findings of annual reports and tax forms sent through the mail, the IRS investigation revealed in court today said Williams falsely represented high investment returns and issued false IRS forms to victims. Near Gatlinburg, we found Williams at a church 2 years ago where he's been the preacher for 11 years. After the service, we asked about the investments.
Their money has been invested in a company called Trade Bank.
Trade Bank. Williams blamed the collapse of Open Door on Trade Bank. From his office in Atlanta, Georgia, in 2014, we talked with John Davis, the president of Trade Bank International. Davis said he terminated Williams' franchise agreement 4 years ago, concerned about his ethical standards.
I certainly hope justice is done here and that your investigation can hopefully help these people recover their money.
According to documents entered in court and signed by Williams, he's agreed to pay restitution to people like the Robertsons and other victims.
I'm glad I didn't invest any more than I did. I started to borrow money on my house and put in it, and I'm sure glad I didn't.
With Williams' admission in court today, Scott Parson has a question for him. Why?
Where'd you go wrong? Did you mean to do all this, or did you get in so deep that you couldn't get out?
Mr. Williams, what do you say to those people who trusted you with their money? Williams didn't answer any questions going in or out of court today. His formal sentencing will be in 4 months. Now, under U.S. guidelines, those convicted of a federal crime are expected to serve all their time in jail. So that means Williams will be in jail for 4 years and 3 months. Reporting live at the federal courthouse, Don Dare, WATE 6 on your side.
An East Tennessee preacher is headed to prison after admittedly operating fraudulent investment ventures.
Yeah, it's estimated Roger Williams cost investors more than $1 million in what the government is calling a Ponzi scheme. WATE 6 on your side. Investigator Don Dare first told you about Williams in the summer of 2014. Don was in court today. He joins us now live from the federal courthouse in downtown Knoxville. Don?
Well, Ryan, the procedures here at the U.S. courthouse took about 90 minutes today, but all of the heavy lifting had been done over the last 2 years by postal inspectors and IRS investigators. When we first encountered Roger Williams and talked with some of his investors, we came across some financial schemes that just didn't look right. Roger Williams, a preacher at a church near Gatlinburg for 11 years, had also been the sole operator of investment ventures for 15 years. In Knoxville today, he walked into federal court after agreeing to plead guilty to money laundering, mail fraud, and obstruction of federal taxes. He also agreed to 51 months in prison for failing to properly invest clients' money into ventures he operated.
I believe in my heart that he's got money somewhere. He is not stupid.
Jimmy Vineyard told us in July 2014 he had put money into Williams' Dash Holdings and Open Door Investment. With a lure of 15% growth yearly promised by Williams, Mr. Vineyard had over $400,000 invested in the ventures. But when his wife Ellen became ill and just before she died, Jimmy went to Roger Williams needing money for her care, but was told there wasn't any to withdraw. All your life savings and hers.
All of hers and my life, that's exactly right. Hers and mine. Ours
Is gone.
is gone.
Jimmy Vineyard never got his money. Judy and Gerald Perkins had invested close to $150,000 with Williams. For several years, they received monthly checks drawn in their investment that paid their mortgage. But in July 2014, Williams wrote the couple saying he is going out of business and they will no longer get any checks.
It's our money. My husband worked for that, and it was his retirement.
We also found reports sent by Williams to clients that said there would be a moratorium on dividends because their money was being invested in another business, which the government now says was fraudulent. We confronted Williams 2 years ago and asked about customers like Mr. Vineyard and the Perkins.
The franchise investment that we had with them has been dried up.
But you were their investor.
Well, I was one of the managers.
Our investigation found that under federal regulations, Williams should have been a registered broker, but records show he didn't follow the rules. David Lewis, one of the area's top investment professionals, says the ventures Williams operated had no independent party looking over his shoulder as required.
Ponzi schemes and most scams have involved a situation where the person selling the investment basically said, give me the money, I'll take care of everything.
The government's investigation says Williams issued false IRS forms, committed money laundering by unlawfully transferring financial transactions, and mail fraud by sending false reports about investments. With no more monthly checks from Williams, the Perkins had to sell their home in May 2015. Jimmy Vineyard lost the most money to Williams' fraudulent schemes, but Mr. Vineyard died in March of this year and rests beside his wife, Ellen. Mr. Williams, he gave no apology today to the people he cheated or explain where he went wrong. What did you do with their money? He'll begin serving his time in federal prison next March. Ed, we learned that just last Wednesday, Roger Williams stepped down from the pulpit at his church in Gatlinburg. He's no longer the preacher there, and the building was sold last month. Reporting live in downtown Knoxville, Don Dare, WATE 6 on your side.